How did you get the idea for 7500?
Well, there's like, it's a three-part answer to that, because first of obviously, like there was a lot of, from the technical side, you know, I wanted to make a film just in one room. And I thought like, what would be the best room to do that in? And, you know, and on that hand side, pretty much I came up with like the idea of doing it in an airplane, and immediately afterward, like, why not just like the cockpit? I was always like fascinated by flying. When I was a little kid, I went to the cockpit, or with my parents, they asked the stewardess if I can look into the cockpit. So I was always like fascinated with that. The second answer is, you know, when I started writing that, it was 2015. It was this huge refugee crisis, and there was this huge war in Syria, what's still going on, and ISIS and terrorist attacks by ISIS were like pretty much, you know, was something that happened that year. And there were a lot of young kids from Austria, from Germany, who joined, you know, who went to Syria, who joined ISIS. And I really wanted to tell a story, or one of the lead characters should be someone who went into something like that and wakes up in the moment when it happens. And the third part is like, as I said in the one word, I want to really make a film about like how to break this kind of circle of violence. Like the people who try to crash the plane, try to take revenge for something they think their people did to them. And in the end, the Tobias character is not taking revenge for what has happened to him. And, you know, this not taking revenge as the only solution on how to deal with violence is, you know, something I wanted to talk about in this film or in the screenplay.
So my next question is, what is your writing habit when you wrote 7500?
I first write just a two-pager, like to see where the story is going, like what is the beginning, what are the main beats in the middle, and what is the end, like where do I come, you know, where should this all go? And based on that, I talked to my producers, I talked to my co-writer about like the idea, and then I started to write like we call it a treatment. I don't know how you call it in America. It was a 30-page like just description of the scenes, no dialogue in it. So kind of an outline. And I wrote that for like a couple of months to find like the real story, the arc of the characters, and the story I wanted to show, the scenes I wanted to show. And based, you know, then I talked to producers again, I talked to my co-writer again, and then I started to write based on that, writing the screenplay. And that, you know, I try to give myself like a goal for every day, like writing like 2 or 3 or 5 pages, you know, but it never worked out. So in the end, it took quite longer.
Could you give a fun fact about working with Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Well, it's like, you know, he's one of the nicest person I think you can imagine, and especially for like me, for first-time director, like first time making a feature film, and then working with someone with such a big name, you know, he made it very, very easy to me, because he was never, because he has so much more experience, like, you know, 30 years more of experience kind of. And, but he never like, you know, he helped me when I have a question, but I was always like, you know, he tried to follow my vision and try to give the best he could to make my film, you know. And, you know, that I think that was very, very, you know, we never had a problem. We never had like something bit to argue about, like we have discussion about like what direction we should go here and there, you know, but it was always clear that we follow the same vision.
You guys seem to know each other. We have a boy at home.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you ready for boarding, guys?
We were born ready. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your captain. I'd like to wish you a nice day and thank you for your trust in us.
So, guys.
So my next question is on average, how many draft script did you find yourself writing until you are happy and satisfied with your work?
This really depends, and you know, this is my first feature film, and in the end we ended up with just like 3 or 4 drafts. So the shooting draft was, I think it was the 4th draft of the film, and we didn't make big changes between the drafts because from the first idea it was pretty clear what's going to happen. We did just make like little changes. And of course, first in this, especially for this film, we wrote it in German. I wrote it in German because of course it's my native language and I feel well more comfortable to write in German. And then we translated it. So, you know, and then I went over that again. But it was not, for this film, it was not many drafts. We were pretty much from the beginning. I had a clear vision. I shared with the producers and know where the film is going, like what kind of film it could be, or like what kind of intense thriller it should be, and what a straight film, and you know, what a clear plot it was. So yeah. For this film, you know, the film we are writing right now has a lot more drafts.
You were nominated for an Academy Award for Best Live Action Short Film for Everything Will Be Okay at the 88th Oscar Award. How did it feel to be at the ceremony?
You know, everything that in the moment we got nominated, I think that was the most special moment, because you know you're on the short list, and you know, and people are like, there's this 50-50 chance because 10 were on the short list, and you know, you really, of course, in the end you want to be to the 5 people who got nominated, not to the 5 who doesn't get nominated. So that day, of course, was very special and very exciting the whole day, because you know, it's like it starts very early in the States, like at 5 in the morning or something, but here of course it's also in the it's already in the afternoon, so I had a whole day waiting for like the nomination. And it's not that we get some information beforehand or something, you know, we really, as everybody else, sees it in the moment that it's announced. So so that was the most special moment. And after that, you know, everything was like just kind of fun, because it was so, we you know that from TV, and you followed the Oscars for such a long time, and you want, you know, to be there. It feels really strange because there's a lot of magic coming from the Oscars, but especially when it's like televised, you know, when you are in that room and you are in the moment, there's like a bunch of people around you, and it doesn't feel as special as it looks on the TV. There's a lot of magic coming from that. And in the moment, of course, you get dressed up a lot. You drive there with a big car, you know, there's this lanes of security, and there's this crazy, I don't know, 250 meters of journalists like and screaming, and that was everything. That was really, really strange, like, and exciting, you know. The ceremony itself, it was, you know, I was sitting there like, is this really happening? But it was a special day, but it went by very, very quickly.
Was there any celebrity that you're excited to meet, or you had a brief exchange?
I had a brief exchange with Steven Spielberg, as we talked before about, like, he always inspired me. So we talked like for, I think, 20 seconds. So I know someone who I met at the Student Academy Awards, and she's a lovely person, and she is the lead makeup artist for a lot of Steven Spielberg films. And I met her at the after show party, and she was, talking to Steven Spielberg, and then she just introduced me for a brief moment, and he was about to go. He was, and then we just talked for like 20 seconds, and we took a photo, and that was a special 20 seconds, because of course, as a young filmmaker, and I grew up with his films, so that was something.
This is my final question. What was the last movie you watched on the big screen before COVID-19 pandemic happened?
Oh yes, the last film I watched, I guess, it was a German film. It's called Lindenberg. It's about the famous German singer, and I was watching it because we were thinking about, for the new project, casting one of the actors in there. So I want to see how he performed. That was the last film. It was like really on the eve of, I think the next or the day after, there was a shutdown and the lockdown. So, and it was already like wash your hands and everything. There were a lot of like disinfection everywhere, and I was sitting like away from people. Just like 4 or 5 people in the theater. It was a very, very, very small theater, but you kind of felt that everybody was like staying away, social distancing from each other, but still wanted to watch the film. And I was like, don't do that, stay at home. It's like, fuck it, I want to go there. I want to watch the film, And of course, we all did distancing, And yeah, before that, I think that was the last film I watched.
European 162, what's your emergency?
We have a 7500.
Open the door!
Several men attacked our cockpit. We stopped them for now. The captain is injured. Status of the crew, I don't know.
They have a hostage. They're gonna kill him if I don't open the door.
You want other guys to die?
Don't stop, please.
I can't open the door. Let her go. Please. Please, I beg. Please.
I'm sorry, but you know that under no circumstances you are allowed to let them to the cockpit.
They don't have guns. They don't have knives. If you work together, you can beat them.
It's okay, you're gonna be alright. European 162, what's the status?